Hi there, musitrature recaps here. Today, I'm explaining a movie called Blood Hunt. The movie opens with a scene where a man drives a helpless, bound girl to a remote location, concealed by the darkness of night. In an isolated barn, he forcibly removes her clothing, subjecting her to horrific actions and inflicting unbearable pain, asserting his dominance. When the girl attempts to fight back, she receives a harsh blow to the head, causing her to lose consciousness. As morning breaks, Claire hurries to the shower, taking time to freshen up with makeup. Meanwhile, Dean bids farewell to his friends and sets off to meet his beloved. Claire, despite her limited cooking skills, prepares a special gift, an egg and bacon sandwich. In an effort to please Claire, Dean changes his outfit to appear more attractive. The couple embarks on an extensive road trip for a weekend in the great outdoors, providing ample time for conversations about various issues close to their hearts. Claire shares news of a friend's pregnancy, which sparks excitement in Dean, though his eagerness stems from concerns about Claire not being pregnant. Claire, on the other hand, dreams of a family and children, and she also discusses her plans to attend courses that will allow her to leave her hometown. Dean, however, is dissatisfied with her decision, as he finds everything satisfactory in their current location. After an unplanned stop, the girl heads to the store, and the couple departs from the federal highway, finding themselves in a small town. They quickly realize they're lost and pull over at a gas station. Claire goes to use the restroom and returns a couple of minutes later, noticing that Dean isn't by the car. At some point, a local resident named Nuck approaches Claire, asking for a lighter. Claire politely declines, mentioning that she doesn't smoke, but Nuck persists. When Claire responds with rudeness, Nuck becomes offensive, hurling insults and threats of physical violence. Dean eventually returns to the car and, to Claire's surprise, offers Nuck a lighter, trying to keep the peace. Claire is upset by Dean's calmness, but he explains that avoiding an open conflict is the better choice. The couple proceeds to find their motel, opting to stay there and spend the entire day in bed. The following morning, Dean surprises Claire with coffee and breakfast in bed to delight his beloved. With their weekend plans in mind and a longing for relaxation, the couple decides to go for a walk. Along the way, Dean spots a car parked on the roadside and stops to assist the driver who's having engine trouble. Claire recognizes the driver as Nuck and urges Dean not to get out of the car, emphasizing the need to leave as soon as possible. Initially, Dean doesn't grasp the severity of the situation, but upon learning that Nuck had threatened Claire physically, he decides to drive away. As they reach the base of the hill, the couple leaves their car behind and heads towards the mountains, seeking an escape from their problems and aiming for a delightful weekend. Scaling the mountain, Dean and Claire relish the beauty of the natural surroundings, capturing memories with their photographs. After a few hours, the content pair returns to their car and speeds back to the motel with amorous intentions. However, things take an unexpected turn when Dean catches a peculiar smell. Glancing at the dashboard, he realizes that his engine is dangerously overheating. Dean quickly adds coolant to the radiator and inspects the system's condition. It becomes evident that the car needs repairs due to a cracked hose, causing antifreeze to leak. In the midst of this predicament, another vehicle pulls up nearby, and the driver offers assistance to Dean. This good Samaritan, Heath, isn't alone, he's accompanied by none other than Nuck and another companion, Jared. To Dean's surprise, their initial offer of help quickly turns into a dispute. Nuck provokes Dean with insults and directs his anger towards both Dean and Claire, intensifying the tension. At first, Dean holds his emotions in check, trying to avoid a confrontation, but when the bully starts humiliating Claire and questioning her dignity, Dean can't hold back any longer. He loses control and launches a furious attack with his fists. Heath and Nuck, relying on their numerical advantage, retaliate and beat Dean, delivering harsh kicks. Claire, frightened and determined to protect herself, locks the passenger door, but Jared manages to open the back door of their vehicle, known as the Satan, and forcibly drags her out. He grabs Claire by the hair, twisting her arms, while the hooligans threaten her with their sinister intentions, hinting at what they plan to do with her. Amidst this chaos, Dean somehow manages to deal with Heath by head-butting him in the nose, making him stagger back. Dean then immediately goes after Nuck, head-butting him forcefully against the hood of Nuck's own car. Next in line is Jared, who also falls victim to Dean's wrath as he shatters a glass bottle on the bully's head, incapacitating him. The frightened couple quickly jumps into their car, eager to escape the dangerous situation. A furious Nuck refuses to let his victims slip away. He pursues them, tailing behind the wheel of a white pickup truck. As they try to get away, Dean encounters a new problem: their car's engine begins to overheat once more. In this high-stakes chase, Dean attempts to evade Nuck by taking abrupt turns onto country roads, but the relentless bully remains hot on their trail. Desperate to shake their pursuer, Dean notices a potential escape route. He makes a sharp turn, breaking away from Nuck. It momentarily seems like they've left their pursuer behind, but Nuck's familiarity with the area allows him to swiftly locate Dean and Claire once again. The threat is far from over. The car is plagued by constant overheating, preventing the couple from driving at any speed. Seizing this opportunity, Nuck positions his own vehicle, the Satan, alongside Dean's car, shoving it forcefully to the side. Dean's car crashes and somersaults, eventually coming to a rest upside down. A couple of minutes later, Claire regains consciousness and struggles to exit the wrecked car, only to find that her boyfriend is unconscious. Nuck arrives at the scene, grabs Claire by her hair, and rests her arms behind her back. He forcefully captures her, throwing her into the trunk of a pickup truck. Soon, Dean regains consciousness as well, attempting to exit the overturned car. However, he is met with a swift, precise kick to the head by a bully, rendering him unconscious once more. Some time later, Dean awakens to the sound of Claire's cries for help. Realizing that they are being transported in the back of a pickup truck, but unsure of their destination, Dean attempts to comfort Claire. At one point, he notices a tool case and asks Claire to flip it open, hoping to find a sharp implement. Among the tools, he locates a sharp nail file and endeavors to cut their bindings. However, the pickup truck suddenly comes to a halt. Sensing that the bullies are about to approach, Dean passes the nail file to Claire and instructs her to conceal it, biding their time for a more opportune moment. Upon arriving at the old farm, a trio of hooligans forcefully ushers a young man and a young woman into a barn. Jared secures Dean to a wooden fence, using barbed wire around his neck to immobilize him. With intentions of punishing the defiant couple, Nuck wields a knife and threatens the captive girl. He contemplates cutting her clothing, but Dean's taunts draw his attention, and an offended Nuck decides to gag the daredevil. Seizing a can of gasoline, he douses Dean's face with fuel, subjecting him to suffering. At one point, he attempts to strangle Dean but opts to leave him alive at the last moment, ensuring he witnesses his girlfriend's torment. Ordering Jared to cut the wire and release Dean, Nuck instructs his comrade to hang the young man upside down by a hook, as if he were an animal carcass. The hooligans relentlessly beat and humiliate Dean, aiming to assert their dominance and exact retribution. Meanwhile, Claire employs a concealed nail file to cut her restraints. Realizing that she cannot assist her beloved, she seizes the opportunity to flee while Dean distracts the hooligans' attention. Moments later, the trio notices Claire's disappearance and comprehends that she has made a run for it. Nuck and Heath split up to search the farm, while Jared returns to the barn to retrieve a scoped rifle. Claire endeavors to hide amidst old cars and leave the farm unnoticed. She initially succeeds but is soon discovered by Jared, who opens fire. Heath observes the fleeing girl and attempts to apprehend her, but Claire defends herself and uses the sharp nail file to wound his face. Eventually, she manages to navigate through a barbed wire fence, hiding inside a pickup truck and securing the doors. Nuck becomes aware that Claire won't escape since his car has a security feature that prevents her from starting it. He instructs Jared to bring Dean, the captive, so that Claire can witness his ordeal. Fearing that the hooligans are about to harm Dean, Claire opens the car door and is once again seized by the bloodthirsty Nuck. Violently knocking her to the ground, the bully contemplates taking her life but deems it too lenient a punishment for her actions. After dragging the couple back to the barn, Nuck orders Dean's head to be immobilized with a belt so he can witness the torment inflicted upon his girlfriend. Nuck, Jared, and Heath take pleasure in degrading Claire, but this time it's Heath's turn, as he's known to be the most ruthless. Nuck permits his friend to go first and do as he pleases with Claire. The hooligan removes the captive girl's underwear and subjects her to suffering, forcing her to endure the distressing ordeal. Dean, overwhelmed by the horrifying events, can't control himself any longer. In a surge of aggression, he breaks free and seizes a metal pipe, striking back against their tormentor. He manages to free Claire and takes Nuck's knife, urging her to remain as quiet as possible so they can escape. When Nuck and Jared return to the house, the couple makes a frantic dash for their pickup truck in an attempt to flee the farm. But as they attempt to drive away, Jared, spotting Heath, rushes outside and fires a shot before they can make their escape. With the worst seemingly behind them, Dean finds hope and envisions a bright, carefree future with Claire. However, Claire can't share in his joy as she's severely wounded and bleeding. Upon realizing that Claire has been shot in the stomach, Dean stops the car. He pulls her out, searches for a first aid kit, and does his best to provide her with emergency medical care. Dean desperately tries to comfort Claire, hoping that they can overcome the situation. But sadly, it's too late, her wound is too severe, and Claire passes away, succumbing to her injuries. Dean comes to a sobering realization that running away isn't the solution, and there's unfinished business to attend to. Fueled by anger and a desire for revenge against the criminals, he turns back towards the farm. Meanwhile, Jared prepares a backup vehicle to chase down the fleeing couple and retrieve their stolen pickup truck. Dean watches from a distance, waiting for the opportune moment. As a heated confrontation ensues, Jared brandishes a knife in an attack, but Dean manages to disarm him. Despite the initial struggle, Dean takes advantage, ultimately wounding Jared by stabbing him in the leg. With his upper hand, Dean forces Jared out of the vehicle, and as Jared tries to pursue Dean, he uses the car door to deliver a forceful blow to the bully's head, causing a gruesome injury. Dean then hides nearby, watching as he observes Jared's lifeless body. In a panic, Nuck and Jared realize that Dean has returned, seeking retribution for all that has occurred. The two criminals, now separated, begin their search for Dean, while he bides his time, waiting for the right moment to confront them. Dean seizes a shovel and launches a fierce attack on Heath, landing a brutal kick to the leg, causing a significant injury. Undeterred, he strikes Heath twice in the head with the shovel. Despite the grievous blows, Heath remains alive and crawls away. Consumed by a desire for retribution against the man who tormented his girlfriend, Dean takes a knife and enacts a severe punishment, depriving Heath of his manhood and ending his life. Driven by an unrelenting determination to put an end to the last remaining bully, Dean heads to the barn. There, he finds Nuck attempting to destroy evidence by dousing the area with gasoline. A face-to-face confrontation ensues as Dean attacks Nuck, aiming to send him to the afterlife alongside Jared and Heath. Nuck retaliates by hurling a can of gasoline and firing a rifle, injuring Dean. Nevertheless, Dean manages to overpower the bully, using a nearby metal object to strike Nuck on the head. Subduing him, Dean hangs Nuck upside down like a pig carcass, delivering the final blow. As the last of the bullies bleeds out, the wounded Dean walks away, leaving the farm behind for good, and here the movie ends. Thank you for watching.